What is going on, guys? XP Doomer here. Welcome to this Doom Builder tutorial on creating moving lights and color fades with ACS scripting. I'll be showing you how to set colors to lights using fades, alternating lights, adding fog to a sector, incremental brightness, and finally creating a pathway that lights up when a player hits a switch. So for example, say you had a dark room in your map, you can have the player hit a switch to light up a specific path over a hazard. For me personally, when I create maps, I think light and brightness play a key role in adding atmosphere and vibrance. So I hope with creating these effects I'm going to show you will really enhance your maps and player experience. Finally, as the title suggests, this tutorial does involve a bit of ACS scripting, particularly using loops for manipulating the brightness and moving lights. So for you guys who aren't familiar or just starting out, I'll be explaining each line of code step by step. Okay, so let's dive straight into this. So what we're going to do, let's see, it's going to Doom Builder. I'm going to go File, New Map. GZ Doom, Doom 2 UDMF, that's the one we want. I'm going to go OK. So here's our blank map space. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a nice big sector. And this is where we're going to add our player start. I'll right click, go into things mode. Okay, now here's our player start. We're going to go into visual mode. As you can see, yep, here's our plain room. So the default brightness at the moment is 192. Now for those who are really just starting out on Doom Builder, I'm going to show you just a quick method on how you can, two quick methods on how you can change brightness very easily. The first method is you go into sectors mode, you go right click, and as you can see in the properties window here, you've got brightness, it goes brightness box, so you can increase, decrease or decrease to like this here. The highest it'll go to is 256 and the lowest is 0, being pitch black. For now we're going to set it to 128 and go into visual mode. And the other way is, I find is a lot more easier and more efficient, is if you just hold in visual mode, you hold down the control key and you use the mouse scroll, and as you can see you can really increase and decrease the brightness. When I'm building maps I use this a lot because it's a little more quicker and convenient than going out of visual mode, going into sector and then using the little box in the properties window. But I'm going to keep this to 128 for now. So the first thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to draw out some lights, and I'm going to show you how you can add color to those lights. Now I'm going to go into sectors mode. I'm going to draw us 3 lights. So they're going to be 64 by 64. What I'm also going to do is going to go into view, and I'm going to go into ceiling textures because I want to add a light texture to these sectors I'm drawing out. So I want to make sure they match up nice. There's no offset issues. So I'm going to draw a second one, 64 by 64. And a third one here, 64 by 64. Okay, and let's just assign all these light textures. So I'm going to go, I've selected them all. I'm going to right click, go to surfaces, go to ceiling, and let's go to our lights category, and let's choose T light sticks _1. There we go, that's good. And luckily the textures all line up perfectly. Well, that's great. I'm gonna go into visual mode. So here's our, as you can see, here's our light textures. It's gonna lower the ceiling height a little on these just so they stand out a bit more. And I'm just gonna set a basic texture, black texture. That's fine. And I'm gonna add all the side depths. There we go. So here's our lights all set up and ready to go. And I'm going to go into view, and I'm going to change back to floor textures for now. So first thing we want to do is we want to give each of these sector tags. So I'm going to right click into our first one. I'm going to go properties, new, which is tag 1. I'm going to right click into this one, properties new, which is tag 2, and right click, go properties, and that's tag 3. So we've got 3 sectors here, which are our lights, and one of them's got tag 1, tag 2, and tag 3. Now we can start getting into the ACS side of this, but before we do, real quick, I just want to show you in my Skyboxes tutorial I mentioned this fade option here, where you can go in and actually set a color fade very easily. The only downside to doing it this way is that that's fixed, so you can't manipulate that with a script. So let's say a player hit a switch and you wanted the color to change to, let's say, from red to green. You wouldn't be able to do that if you set it in here. You'd have to do that via a script, which is sort of how what I'm going to show you in a sec. So without further delay, now let's go into our script editor. And the first thing I'm going to do is include our ACS library. So include double quotes zcommon.acs. Now every time you're writing a new ACS file, essentially you will need to include that zcommon.acs, otherwise no functions will work. In fact, nothing will work. It just won't run at all. So now that we've done that, we can get started creating our first script. So we're going to use the script keyword, and we're going to give the next bit is giving our script a name, which can be anything you want in double quotes. I'm going to call this fades, and then a space, and we're going to use open, which basically means that this script will execute as soon as we start the game. We're going to add our braces in, and there we go. We've set up our script template, so now we can start writing in some code. The function we're going to be working with is I've got it open actually here on the ZDoom wiki, which is sector_setFade. And it takes 4 arguments. The first argument is tag. Well, that's an easy one. We've just set up our sectors here with unique tags. So depending on which sector we want to add light to, we'd include the tag number. So that's nice and easy. And the next bit, next part really, the other 3 arguments are R, G, and B, which is the amount of red to fade to, the amount of green to fade to, and the amount of blue to fade to. So if you aren't familiar with RGB, basically this will be a number, each of these will be a number between 0 and 225. Say for example you had 225 for R, and then 0 for G and 0 for B. That means it would be completely red. Same for, say, if you had 255 for green and 0 for R and B, it would be completely green. I'm going to show you some examples of that in just a moment. So we're going to go into script editor. First thing we want to do though is write in our function, which is sector_setFade. And open up our brackets. So let's give one of our lights a red color. So I'm going to do tag 1, which is our light with the tag of 1. I'm going to go comma, and I'm going to go 255 for red, 0 for green, and 0 for blue, and a semicolon on the end. And what should we do for tag 2? So let's do sector_setFade again, tag 2. Let's just give it a green. So 0, 255, and 0. And let's say you wanted a different color from red or green, which is completely understandable. Well, if you do a Google search for RGB color codes chart, you'll get this. Now, this is actually really cool because you can manually pick any color in this color wheel here, and color box here, I should say, and then it will give you the code. So it'll give you the R, give you the G, give you the B. So let's say we want, well, I just chose purple because purple's my favorite color. So I've got a nice quite dark purple there. So That's a bit more purple actually. There, so 150, 37, 158. So let's give our final. Let's give our final light underscore sector set fade for a tag of 3, and let's see. So what was it? It's just so it was 150, comma 37 for green, and 158 for blue. Add our semicolon on the end. So let's see how that looks in game. So we're going to compile, and we got no errors. So every time you want to save your code, you want to click on this compile script button here at the top. Hopefully you'll get no errors. If you do get errors, it will tell you which line there's an error on, so you can correct it. Okay, we're going to minimize this, going to go into game, and let's see how this looks. So as you can see here, we've got our red, our green, and our purple. Just looks pretty cool. Kind of reminds me like a disco vibe. As you can see, if you come further and further away, the density of the colors increases, and as you get nearer, they fade. They become more transparent. That's cool and everything, but what we're going to do is we're going to come out of game, and then we're going to go into visual mode, and I just want to show you how the brightness impacts how the fade looks in game. So let's say if we increased all these lights to 216. Now actually I'm going to increase that one to 216. Let's keep that at 128, that's fine, the same, and we'll make this light 3 a lot darker, so let's say 64. Come out of that, we'll go into game, and you can see like the difference here. So we've got like the red is quite transparent, very transparent when you come near it. The green looks how it did before. And the purple here, even when we're quite close, it looks, let's say the density is a lot higher than the red. And if we come further away, you can see that how much density that is against the purple there, and then you can see the red is still slightly transparent. Again, it's just say different ways of how brightness can impact how fades look, and it's depending on how thick you want your colors. Well, that's how it's going to depend. I mean, as this is a light, you can see here that light, you can see it looks like the brightness is increased, so the light's on, whereas it looks like this light is off, but you've still got that purple shade going down. If I just show you what fades look like with it all brightness turned right up, just real quick, as this is quite important because they won't show up at all. As you can see, if you have the brightness 256, they're just invisible. So you need to have the brightness lower than 256 to get like to make the colors like appear slightly in your game. But what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to set these all back to 128 was fine. So the next thing I'm going to show you is so we've got our lights here with our color fade, which is all good, but I say we could have just done that in the sector properties window with the fade. So what can we do with this that's different? Well, we'll go into our script editor, and what we're going to do is we're going to have like all of the colors alternate. So our red on sector 1 is going to go to sector 2, and our green is going to move over to 3, and our purple will go to tag 1. One thing I'm going to show you though before that is, as you can see here, sector set fades, and we've got 1, 2, 5, 5, 0, 0, 2, 0225. All these are numbers. They don't really mean a lot instantly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write some pseudocode, which is basically just or also known as comments. So if we do 2 forward slashes, and then let's say this, so this is red. This just means this isn't gonna run at all. Like, you can write whatever you want, and it doesn't matter as long as you've got 2 forward slashes at the beginning. It will get ignored by the compiler. So it's just a good way to like remind yourself what's what in your code. I'm gonna do this is green, so we're gonna write a pseudo comment for green, and this is purple. So yeah, now we at least know which the colours which, nice and easily. So how are we going to make these alternate? Well, let's just set up what we want our pattern to be next. So let's start with sector 1. So sector underscore set fade sector 1. So we want this to be purple. So we're going to do 150 37 158 and our semicolon. Sector set fade for our next one, number 2, sector 2. So we want this one to be red. So that's 255 0 0. And finally, we want sector set fade tag 3, and we want this one to be green. So 0 255 0. So the idea of this is these are going to change. So the red will become the purple. You can see here on this line. And then sector 2 green will become the red, and vice versa. The sector tag 3 will become the green. We do need to add a couple of bits here though to make this work. So between our 3 sets of sector fades, we need to write in a new function called delay. Now this function is very useful when it comes to ACS scripting. And it only takes one argument, which is ticks. Now if you aren't familiar with ticks, all I'm really going to tell you at this point is that 35 ticks is the equivalent to 1 second. So we're going to put 35 in here and go and our semicolon in. So what this basically means is that it will set all these colors here are red, green and purple. It will wait 1 second and then it will change it up according to these colors here. So let's just, for the sake of not getting confused, that is red and it's green. Gonna add some more comments in there. So wait 1 second and it'll go purple, red, green. And there's one other thing we need, which is a delay again, 35. So currently we've got set red, green, purple, wait 1 second, set purple, red, green, wait another 1 second, and then we need to use another keyword called restart. Another very useful feature, function ACS. This will basically, as the name suggests, it will just restart all of this. So when after it waits that 1 second, it will go to restart and then jump up to the top again, set it back to red, green, purple, wait 1 second, purple, red, green, wait 1 second, restart, and the cycle repeats. So if we compile this now and then go in game, let's see what happens. So as you can see, it waits that 1 second and the colors alternate and they change. It kind of reminds me of that Club Doom level in PlayStation Doom, that secret level where you go in and there's like that disco. Kind of gives me that sort of impression. So it's a pretty nice effect, especially if your map is sort of like, you know, you're building like a disco room or something. You can create like a whole dance floor using this concept. So that's pretty cool. I say this will go on forever because we set it to open, and we got a restart keyword, which basically means, yeah, it's never going to end. So let's go and exit game. So yeah, you could pretty much expand this as much as you wanted. You could add all kinds of different colors in. So the RGB color charts right here, you can just say add however many colors, different colors you wanted. And as long as they are all before the restart keyword, then it will run essentially. So let's move on to the next topic, which is setting fog, which is quite a popular feature, a popular element that's used in maps these days. It's very easy to do and set up, and it uses the same function we've been working with, sector set fade. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw another sector here to demonstrate this. And alright, I'm going to draw an entry point so we can navigate to this new sector. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to let's make ceiling a little bit higher so we can see the fog effect. And let's say let's put this outdoors, because typically fog is present in an outdoor environment. So I'm going to do f_sky1, hit OK, and there's our sky. I'm going to keep the brightness at 128 for now. So the first thing we want to do is, so say if you've got an area of your map and you want to add fog to this area, what you want to do is right click on it, give it a tag if you haven't done so already. We're going to go new tag, in this case mine is 4 because we've done 1, 2 and 3. Click OK. I'm going to go into our script and let's create a new script. I don't really want to put it within all this because, say, this is set up very specifically, and it also has a restart. Typically, when you have scripts that have restart at the end, I'd say it's best to just write a separate script. It's not to interfere with it, and it just looks a bit neater as well. So I'm going to do scripts, and this one is just going to be called fog, and we're going to do open because we want the fog to run as soon as the game starts. Or to appear, I should say. And then we're going to have our braces in here. So what we're really doing for this is what we've just done, pretty much. So we're going to go sector_set fade, and we want to give our tag, which is 4, and we want to make it all white. So that will be 255 for grit red, 255 for green, and 255 for blue. Conversely, 000 is all black. So that's pretty much set. I'm going to compile, no errors, and let's see what it looks like. So as you can see, we've got this quite dense fog effect right here. Looks pretty nice. Of course, this room is very plain and boring, so I'm sure your map will look way more interesting than this. But this is really just to demonstrate how you can add the fog itself. And if we come out of game, go into visual mode, and let's make the fog really thick. So we'll do that by decreasing the brightness. Say 48 brightness is pretty good. Launch the game, and yeah, that is very foggy. So I can imagine putting a couple of demons in here. That would be scary. So that's pretty much your fog. Say very similar to what we were doing before with our color alternating colors, which are still going over there. One thing I probably should show you is going into this. Let's just make it so it's misty. So let's say 200 brightness. Go back into the game. And so yeah, you got like this misty sort of effect here. So you can pretty much see most of the surroundings, but it's, yeah, I'd say depending on really what the on the scenario of your map, you know, if you want to make it really foggy, say decrease the brightness. If you want to make it just a little bit misty, then you increase the brightness. As long as the brightness isn't 256, that means it won't show up at all. The same as these, where, you know, if you say it's 256, then it's just not gonna be visible. So that's fog, and that is alternating lights and setting color to lights. So the other two things I really wanted to show you guys in this tutorial is a little bit more ACS scripting, a little bit more complex ACS scripting. So we're going to be using loops for the next couple of scripts. And the first thing we're going to do is increment brightness. So say you had a scenario where a player walks in, the room's really dark, and you wanted the room to gradually get brighter and brighter. But that's very doable with ACS, and I'm going to go ahead and show you that right now. So let's get it set up first in our sector. So let's just draw it over here. There we go. Here's our sector we're going to be working with for this. Make it a little bit wider, and I'm going to draw a line going down here which splits it up into two sectors. I'm going to put our ceiling textures back on for a sec, because I want to make this where the lights are going to be, so I'm going to give this a light texture, and let's use CO1_2 for this. And oh, there's a bit of an offset issue there. Let's just sort that out. There we go. Right. So these are our lights, and here's our normal floor. Now, what I think I might do is just reduce that a little bit. Drag this forward. Give an entryway. Okay. So, first thing I'm going to do is give our lights a new sector ID, so new sector tag even. So we're going to go new, which is tag 5. That's absolutely fine. What I'm going to do is go into visual mode on this, and we want to make this quite dark. So to start with, so let's say this is going to be like 24, brightness 24. We'll keep this 128. That's fine for now. This part, but we want this bit with the lights to be dark, because this is where we want the lights to gradually come on. So now let's go into our script and set up our script template for increasing brightness. I'm going to write script, and I'm going to call this increase brightness, double quotes, and instead of putting open this time, we're going to do brackets int. Now this this basically means that this is how you declare variables as integers in ACS. So if you're not familiar with the concept of setting variables, what I'm going to really say about them right now is that it's going to store us a value, and we can call it whatever we want. So I'll try and make this as clear as possible. So I'm going to call this brightness, which basically means that we are going to be storing the brightness value inside this, and this will makes sense. Hopefully it'll become a lot clearer in a second as we write out the script. I'm going to do our open braces. So in script, increase brightness, int brightness. Now I called it int because brightness is a number, as you know. So when we go into our map, our sector, you can see brightness is an integer. So that's why we called it int. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set a value against brightness. So we're going to do brightness equals, and what we're going to do is get the current light level of the sector we want. So we will use the get sector light level, open brackets, and there's only one argument for this, which is tag, so that's our 5. So we set our light section to a tag of 5. So basically at the moment we've declared brightness as a variable, which is an integer, and we've set brightness to be the current brightness of this tag here, which is tag 5, which is 24. So what I might do, well, I'll put a little comment here, which is brightness is 24. Okay. So we've got our variable with brightness, and inside that variable brightness we've got value 24, which is our the brightness of our sector tag, 5. So the next thing we want to do is we want to make it so that, let's say when the script runs, we want the brightness to increase by a certain amount. And how we can accomplish that is using what's called a while loop. So type that out. We're going to type while, and then we're going to put brackets, and then we're going to reference our brightness variable, and then we're going to do, let's do less than 200. Sure, why not? Because our brightness level is currently 24, it's pretty dark. And then we're going to use 2 braces right here. Now these 2 braces are inside the while loop block. So we've got our parent braces here for the script, and we've got our braces for the while loop. What I think I might do is I'm going to write this out, and then I'll just kind of go into detail and explain what's happening after we finish. So light underscore change to value, and this is just the 2 arguments here are tag and value. So we're going to do 5, and let's say we're going to do brightness, which is our variable. So what we need to do with this, let's go brightness plus equals 10, a delay of 5. So what's going on here? So start at the beginning. We've got script increase brightness. That's the name of our script, and we've declared a variable called brightness. Brightness, we've given our brightness variable a value, which is get sector light level, which is 24, which is this is the brightness level in our sector, the sector 5 tag. and we've got our while here. So while brightness is less than 200, run this code. So first things first, we want to make sure that brightness is incremented by 10. So it's going to change from 24 to 34. Light change to value. Now I've actually got this open on a wiki page. So all this does is simply sets a light to a sector. So we've got two arguments, tag and value. So the tag is 5 and the value, we've given it the value of what our brightness variable is. So our brightness variable at this point on the first iteration is 34. And then we've got a delay here of 5, giving it 5 ticks. So it's a lot less than that's a very much lot less than a second. That will run. And this will keep running until the brightness is more than 200. Because what we've done here is while we've basically said while brightness is less than 200, add 10, change the light tag of sector 5, and set the brightness. Wait for 5 ticks and then do it again until brightness it becomes more than 200. And this will create our effect of the brightness increasing very gradually. So we're going to go ahead and compile this. No errors, which is good. So what we need to set up now is a trigger. So how is this script going to be triggered? So let's have it so when the player walks over a line, it will trigger the lights to come on. So, I've got this line here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go properties. Now, so any scripts that won't run when you initially start the game, you need to assign them to an action. Now this could range from, say, hitting a switch, player walking over, when a monster walks over, projectile impact. In this instance, we're going to keep it nice and simple, and we're going to have it when the player walks over. So first thing we want to do is in our action, we want to click on browse action, and then you want to go to script and then script execute. You can also type in 80 there, which is the ID for this action. We're going to tick on name script because we've given it a name. And then in our drop down, we're going to select increase brightness. And activation, well, we want it so when a player walks over. So we've selected this line, so when the player walks over this line, this script, increase brightness, will execute. So we're going to go OK. So that's all pretty much set up. So we're going to go ahead and go into game and walk over this line and see what happens. So you can see here we've got our very dark section here. We're going to walk over, and as you can see, the room lights up. So I think this might be quite cool if you had you could add loads of monsters in here, and when the player unknown to the player because they can't see in the first instance, that'd be quite a surprise. I mean, let me just do that real quick for you guys. So let's add in Cacodemon and Incubus and Revenant. Hit out. So as we are in game, and you can't really see them right now, but as we move closer, they start to come more into view, and they kill you. So that's setting. So that's increasing brightness. So that's just a way you can say play with brightness a lot more and make it work in your favor in your map. Say it's all really just by using this script. This script is relatively straightforward, you can increase the rate of like how quickly the room brightens by just either increasing this delay or decreasing it. So let's say we wanted the lights to come on really slowly. Well, we could do 35, which would be every second it will increase. Or we wanted to come on really quick. Let's do 1 tick, which is pretty much the fastest you can set a delay. So I'm gonna play this, see how this plays out. So yeah, that's a lot smoother actually. So to say if you had like loads of demons here, then they would appear pretty quickly in the player's face. Okay, so the last thing I really want to show you here is increasing brightness, like lighting up a pathway, which again is a very simple script. We'll be using another loop. I'm going to be using a for loop for this one, and this the structure of this script is very similar to our increasing brightness script. So let's go ahead and draw this out. So I'm going to do new sector. And let's go ahead and draw a couple of lines right here. What we're going to do is we're going to make this a hazard. So I'm going to go into going to give it a floor texture, go into liquids, and let's say nukage, that one, that's fine. And we need to draw our pathway. So I'm going to do 64. So this is going to be our pathway we're going to light up for the player. And I'm going to go into my view, ceiling textures, and I'm just going to give all of these lights. And click OK. Not too worried about the offsets really on this. This is just an example. Okay, now we're going to go in and just set our brightness. I'm going to make this 32. We're going to want to make these not liquid as well. So let's go into base and let's use 2, that's fine. And it's also, there we go. And we want to brightness there is 32, so we want to make this brightness 32 as well. That's when that method can come in handy. If you've got like multiple sectors, you just want to quickly set the brightness to the same level. Right, so this one here is 128, that's fine. let's just draw our entryway to this sector. So let's start by writing out the script. Let's get down to that. So time to write ourselves a new one. So script, and let's say this is going to be called light pathway. And we're going to declare ourselves another variable here, so int, and this is going to be a sector tag. So now hopefully this one is quite straightforward, because what we're going to be storing in here is just the sector, is the tag of the sector. So that's nice and easy. And we can pretty much get started with writing the loop. So before we do that, we want to give each of these sectors. So we set up our script template, but we want to give each of these sector tags. So I'll go in and do new set 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. So we're going to go back into our script. And I'm going to write this out, and then I will explain what's happening afterwards. So we're going to write for brackets sector tag, and our starting sector tag is 6. So equals 6. Sector tag less than 20, and sector tag plus more braces. So what we've done really here is referencing our the sector tags we just set, sectors we just set up. So for sector tag, and we've assigned sector tag a value of 6, which is referencing this sector here, tag 6. And this is the condition of the loop. So sector tag is less than 20. And the reason we've done less than 20 is because if we look here, the last tag on this path is tag 19. So it will basically stop as soon as it hits 20. And then sector tag increased by 1. So that's the basis of the loop. It's going to start sector tag 6, do an action, and it will continue doing that action for all of the sector tags until it reaches less than 20, which would be 19. So all we have to do is very easy. What we have to do after this is we're going to use our light underscore change to value again, and we're going to do that now. Light underscore change to value. And all we have to do is, well, we've got all our sector tags, so write sector tag, our variable sector tag, comma, and let's give it a value of light's 200. Why not? And our comma in. So we're gonna put in a delay as well. We can't forget that. So what this basically is doing then is we've got sector tag equals 6, whilst it's less than 20, increment it by 1. It's going to change value to light, sector tag, so it'll start with 6, it will set 6 with and add 200 light. It will wait 10 ticks, and then Because it's still less than 20 and we've increased sector tag by 1, this will become 7, which will be our tag number 7 right here. And it will keep going and repeat this until it reaches 19, because that will be when it hits 20, then this condition will be met and it won't continue iterating anymore. So that's pretty much all there is to it. It's a simple for loop. We've got a sector tag which is increasing until it gets to 20, and it will set the brightness to 200. So let's compile, and there's no errors, which is good. So let's go ahead and minimize this. Last thing we need to do is set an activation. So let's say the player has to hit a switch. So let's just draw out this switch right here. I think I will give it a switch texture. That'll be fine. And let's just copy, paste side defs with the Sean 2 texture. So remember how we did this line? We set an action against script execute, action 80, and we set it against our increased brightness. Well, now we're going to do the same here. I'm going to right click where our switch is, go to properties, I'm going to go to action 80, named script, which is our light pathway, and we want when the player presses U, so that means when the player hits this line, presses it using the space bar, and because this is a switch, it will trigger the switch will be triggered, and it will increase sector by sector the light. So let's go in game and then see how it actually looks. You can see here we've got this dark room, and now if we hit the switch, the pathway is lit up very nicely. Of course, if you wanted to, you can make it a lot darker, so you could make it pitch black, for example. Let's make this 0. Make will be 0, 2. Oh, there's that one there. And then go again. Yeah, because these two sectors here are quite bright, you can see the outline to the path, but say your map will sure look a lot better than this. Hit the switch again, and yeah, as you can see, yeah, the pathway lights up, and we can safely cross to the other side. So that pretty much wraps up the tutorial. So I hope you enjoy, guys, and so if you got any questions, leave them in the comments. Any tutorial requests, I can certainly look into doing those, no problem. So yeah, you have a great day.